Let's talk a few variants of socialism. One could call it even a rainbow of variants. That'll be funnier later in the video. Classic red socialism. Classic red socialism, Marxism. This is the base. It's an ideology used to represent the broad range and blah blah blah. In a classical sense, it describes the workers. You know what it is. Communist Manifesto. This is the socialism that, it's all about just, you can see, guys. Yeah, but we move on to one that's a little less easy to explain. Yeah. Yellow socialism. It's an idea. It's an economically centered left, authoritarian leaning, right-leaning, later on reactionary ideology created by French politician Pierre, however the fuck you pronounce a French last name, as a reaction to red socialism, aka basic socialism. This socialism is characterized by workers' unions working within businesses, with workers having greater profit through negotiations between the unions, business groups, all of which in order to represent a strong authoritarian unity. Though you can obviously see it kind of failed, globalism and all that. Now we move on to the next guy. Libertarian market socialism clipped to Mark Sock. It's much like with all socialisms, it's economically left-wing, no shit. It's libertarian and culturally progressive. And it's a more moderate form of mutualism, which is not on this slideshow. Limited believes in libertarian principle of limited government combined with an economic view that while means of production should belong to the workers who use them, goods and services should be provided through a market economy distributed to and by worker-owned businesses and co-ops. Basically, they support local democracy with limited higher government functions. How about we move on to the next guy? Social libertarian market socialism, which is clipped down to Sock Bert Mark Soak. It advocates for decentralized government, co-ops, and social welfare, and believes in both negative liberty, i.e. liberty to do stuff, and positive liberty from forces, such as, poverty, bad health, pollution, etc. It has a reformed view of liberty and justice as being free from all forces of domination instead of only freedom from the state. Sockbert Marx tends to agree with the previous guy on most issues but disagree when it comes to economics and welfare, believing that a welfare state, ideally a UBI, but not always, and some forms of regulation are needed to guarantee positive liberties. After we move on to the next guy. Pink socialism, also sometimes known as rainbow socialism. It's like basic socialism, but caring a lot more about queer and LGBT plus rights and liberation. believing that in order to be truly free from the chains of the bourgeoisie, the elite, we need to free everybody. And I do mean everybody. How about we move on to the next guy? Paleo-libertarian socialism. It's a traditionalist, civically libertarian, and economically left-wing ideology that is culturally a right version of social libertarianism. It believes in preserving tradition and preserving tradition must be done through the apparatus of a worker-owned economy and a small state. It's a very conservative form of socialism that happens to have libertarian elements attached to it. And we move on to the next guy. Communalism. It's a mostly joke ideology that wants complete collectivization of all property. All of it. Every last bit of it. Private, personal, does not matter. That means fridge magnets, houses, means of production, socks, it does not matter. All of it must be collectivized. Though it has been applied in a few instances, such as various Amish communes, kibbutz, K-I-B-B-U-T-Z, kibbutz, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, as well as the people of Jonestown. Now we move on to the next guy. Green socialism, also known as eco-socialism. It is a variant of socialism that obviously cares a lot about sustainability, green politics, the reduction of CO2 emissions, and particularly has a hate boner for capitalism. You might be thinking, doesn't all socialism have a hate boner for capitalism? Yes, but these guys have the hate boneriest boner to have ever hate bonered. They hate the pollution created by capitalism as a commodity of production. How about we move on to the next guy? Anarcho-Communism, also known as Anarcho-Socialism, is a usually culturally progressive ideology that inhabiting the bottom left corner, or farthest bottom left corner of the political compass. It believes in the abolition of the state and all structures of capitalism, leading to a stateless, classless, post-monetary society based on direct democracy. Some forms of it are heavily influenced by anarcho-egoism and radical individualism, believing that anarcho-communism to be the best social system for the realized individual. Although this is highly contended with various anarchist groups, especially the debate of morality, ethics, individual freedoms, ideology, politics, localism versus internationalism, freedom of speech, organization, and all that blah 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 blah. Many anarcho-communists view anarcho-communism as a way of reconciling the gap between the individual and society, although even this is contested. And that was a few forms of socialism. See ya.